So what'll you do if we can't figure a way to get you cleared?
Well, Harry, the giant said a path is formed by laying one stone at a time. Have either of you fellows heard of a place called the White Lodge?
Where'd you hear of it?
Well, it was the last thing Major Briggs said to me before he disappeared.
Cooper, you may be fearless in this world, but there are other worlds.
Tell me more.
My people believe that the White Lodge is a place where the spirits that rule man and nature here reside.
It's a local legend. Goes way back.
There is also a legend of a place called the Black Lodge, the shadow self of the White Lodge. The legend says that every spirit must pass through there on the way to perfection. There, you will meet your own shadow self. My people call it the Dweller on the Threshold.
The Dweller on the Threshold.
But it is said, if you confront the Black Lodge with imperfect courage, it will utterly annihilate your soul.
Agent Cooper?
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
General Organa, Leia, is unconscious but recovering. That's the only good news I have. Admiral Akbar, all our leadership, they're gone. Leia was the sole survivor on the bridge.
Oh dear.
If she were here, she'd say, save your sorrow for after the fight. To that end, the chain of command is clear as to who should take her place. Vice Admiral Holdo of the cruiser Ninka. Thank you, Commander.
"400 of us on 3 ships. We're the very last of the resistance. But we're not alone. In every corner of the galaxy, The downtrodden and oppressed know our symbol, and they put their hope in it. We are the spark that will light the fire that will restore the Republic. That spark, this resistance must survive. That is our mission. Now to your stations. And may the Force be with us.
In the early 1980s, Israel and Lebanon were in the first Israeli-Lebanese war, the first war. Researchers from the United States performed an experiment in the Middle East. They trained individuals to feel the feeling as if peace has already happened. This was the very famous experiment. Orme, Johnson, Alexander, Davies, Chandler, Larimore were the authors of the experiment. The experiment was called the International Peace Project in the Middle East. The results of this experiment were so profound that they were published in the Journal of Conflict Resolution, Volume 32, 1988. So the reference is here if you'd like to see this for yourself. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. They trained individuals to go into the war-torn areas and feel the feeling as if peace has already happened. They did not judge the war. They did not judge the Israelis good or bad, or the Palestinians good or bad, or the Lebanese good or bad. There's no judgment, no ego. They simply went in and felt as if the peace has already happened. Just like David felt as if the rain has already happened. Just like the practitioners felt as if the woman is already healed. You see where we're going with this. And what happened was each time the practitioners performed this experience, peace happened in the Middle East. Terrorist activities stopped altogether. Crimes against people declined. Emergency hospital room visits declined. Automobile accidents declined. And when the people stopped their feelings, all of those statistics reversed. Everything went back to where it was. And the researchers said, well, maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's a holiday. Maybe it's a full moon. Maybe there are more people on the streets today than yesterday. So they did the experiment again and again and again, and every time the results were the same. In fact, they were able to determine how many people it takes to feel peace for peace to happen in that area. And here's what they found. Very small number. They said if you can get the square root of 1% of your population to feel peace, peace will happen. What does that number look like? Well, let me show you the math. These are very small numbers. The square root of 1% of the population. If you have a city of 1 million people, how many people are in Milan? Do we know? Approximately? 5 million? So, okay. Yeah, well. So, muchos personas, right? Okay, if you have a city of 1 million people, here's how the formula works. You take the number of people, total number of people, multiply by 1%, so 1 million times 0.01 gives you the number 10,000. Okay, now you take the square root of 10,000, 100 people. In a city of 1 million people, If there are 100 people that know the language of peace, they can begin that experience of peace. What does that mean for our planet? Let's look at our planet. Earth has a population a little over 6 billion people now, close to 6.5. If we do the same thing, 1% of 6 billion people is 60 million people. If you take the square root of 60 million people, the number is just under 8,000, 7,746 people. There are 1,000 people in this room. 7 rooms like this can change the world. And that's just the beginning. What happens if many, many people come together on the internet, on the World Wide Web? They coordinate and create that peace. Well, it has happened. It's been done. Princeton University organized the studies, and while the people are feeling peace, all that happens is peace. The problem is that people stop feeling peace and then walk away from the experiment, and everything changes.
Look at the world you live in, and this pool of fish. There are 12 fish, 12 worlds.
But only one pool.
Many. The one you see, the one I see, and the world of each. The world you live in is mysterious, exciting, unknown, and mine is older, familiar, and calm. You will never know my world, or I yours.
Never.
Can you see with my eyes? Think with my brain?
But Master, you are one with the universe. So am I.
We are one. Yet we are not the same. 10 million living things have as many different worlds. Do not see yourself as the center of the universe, wise and good and beautiful. Seek rather wisdom, goodness and beauty, that you may honor them everywhere.
Hey guys, welcome. Andre Hodge, Infinite Potential Healing, Servant of Truth, with you once more. The Brat Down Under is with you, and in good form. So I hope this finds you in equally good form. And despite how it is out in the world, as crazy as and intense and uncertain it may be, offering many angles to fear and all that emotional spectrum that might be disarming for your psychic defense sort of thing, you're actually feeling, without maybe reference, very empowered at the moment. Like, despite the craziness of the world, you're going off your chart sort of thing. So if you've been with me for a while, I really appreciate your investment and trust in me. And if you're new, you're welcome. Whatever level you're at, I hope what I've been offering over these last few years, especially the last 12 or 18 months, has been a huge ally for improving your life. Or if it hasn't been improving, at least you got the outside edges of a really epic puzzle. And perhaps for you now that we've done some really big things in recent times, because of the foundational components that we've really brought up, identified and improved, such as the 22D soul and other things that I'll talk about. All the foundational sort of apparatus of the reality universe and stuff is really on our side, and all it will take now is for you to really engage yourself. And one of the big concepts I've really brought to the fore, because I do it and I know how tough it's been to maintain the energy hygiene, perhaps it's time to really put some focus on that in your life and really take it to the next level and see how much of an ally appreciating energetic hygiene is for you. Because I can assure you it's been foundational to me for these last 4 years, but especially these last 12 months and recent times. I offer it as a component of all my healing modalities and stuff, but I basically do it many times a day, and it's not been easy to maintain. But as I offered in my last video, which I hope you really invested in, our Intuitive Potential Part 4 was a really huge release for me. I've been chipping away at my own journey, and you know, over the years, if you've been around me for a long time, I'm coming into this organic, original content sort of era for myself, which is my own conscious Tetris. I might show you that conscious Tetris image quick. I haven't shown this for a while, but it's like, my concept of conscious Tetris is maybe you've taken on blocks of data and stuff that are invalid or diabolical or misguided sort of thing, and it's distorted your ability to up your game, gain levels of awareness and stuff. But what I'm saying about myself is I've gone on a tear parabolically to really find out the information. Not only that, it's involvement with people and missions, as I've said, and stuff, and discovering stuff in real time, say in sessions, or what's going on in people. One of the interesting things, and I'll show you my algorithm perception mechanic sort of image in a sec, but I would just offer, say for me, I've really worked hard on my conscious Tetris and stuff, and changing blocks and stuff. And so over the many years of dealing with the different people, and then say late 2021 discovering Asha and flipping a lot, and I don't give her an automatic everything she says is right. In my journey and what I've offered publicly, I've very much specifically focused on that 2001 to maybe 2003 or 4 era, because she was in a real misguided arrangement for 10 years, and her beloveds were telling her to trust the sort of process and stuff, and I've got a lot of, you know, questions of who they actually were sort of thing, and I've offered stuff in my Amplify the Echo series, but I honor her for 20 years ago, how tough it was and what she brought to us. And I've basically just gone to the start and vetting everything and seeing what fits and stuff relative to what's out in the field and that. And so, but she was a big recalibration for me, right? And then I've offered the whole, as I said, the Amplify the Echo series, and embraced some of her stuff and discerning other things and stuff. But I really do, like I said, honor it. And I've got a page on my website where there's some really specific audios that are foundational components that really might engage your conscious Tetris to another level. And really, I just offer them there because it's from what I offer, it's going to be assumed sort of components. So if you're someone that likes to go deep and work it all out yourself and get the core data, like referential data, it's there. But I would just say I've had to go into my own original territory with all this in the 22D, and with some really core people and amazing people I've met over the last 12 months or so. And I'm just in this original, organic, in my own territory, perceptions and stuff, and offering it to you guys. Because it is out there, I've had to really trust the mechanics, and I've got this good metaphor of the data that I offer and stuff, because a lot of people like validation and all that sort of stuff, and this release I'm going to offer some really interesting variables of my personal life, of experiences recently. Like I had a massive synchronicity, something that, you know, when you look at people in the community of who they interact with, no one I know has ever interacted with this sort of synchronicity that I'll talk about. And I'm going to have to get through it, because ideally I want to do it before I get dark, alright, here. But to me it's about trusting the mechanics and stuff. So I might go to another image. Right. This is an image I've used many times. It got a bit beaten up from being wet, but ideally the image next to me is a bit better. But this is about the 22D mechanics that has been foundational to a lot of things that I've been involved in, and it's come about by a lot of discovery and stuff. So there's two sort of levels. There's getting beyond the fractal barrier sort of thing, like there's getting through all the shit, and then there's maintaining it. And for me in my journey, and maybe you might have instances of getting there, but you get beaten up and targeted, and Trojan horses and all that sort of stuff come into your life to derail you. So it's been brutal. And the key is we've not had the 22D Earth Foundation soul. Late June, the last weekend of June, we finally recognized that Earth's soul was disconnected. I've offered in the recent releases going back from GSF 32, 33, and a couple of the recent ones, the Earth 22D and Intuitive Potential Part 4, putting it all together. Alright, so as I mentioned that again, it's a very big release, and I highly recommend you invest in it and process it for yourself and employ it as your own conscious Tetris variables. Whether you trust it or not, it's up to you. But for me, what I'm offering is, in my journey now, I'm having to really trust the mechanics because it's original. And you might know people talking about this stuff. I don't know anyone. I've searched a long time and looked for this information, and I'm in my own original territory sort of thing. So there's not going to be a lot of validation at the moment, but that's what I'm going to get to. These experiences, I've had a confirmation of my own validation that I have to accept it. So the metaphor I was going to offer about trusting the mechanics, I'm a guy, bit of a geek and stuff like that, and I like technical sort of things. And back in many years ago, I remember watching a particular air crash investigation show. There's a series out there called Air Crash Investigations. It's all about reverse engineering the mistakes made for aviation crashes and stuff. And there was one, I could go find it, but I haven't gone and done it yet. Who knows, maybe I might go find the clip at some point and offer it. But there was this particular air crash in Poland sometime, I think it was during the 80s or 90s. And long story short, the visibility out the cockpit window sort of thing was very bad, atrocious. Like there was no visibility, the cloud or fog was very thick and stuff. And long story short, what the pilots did is they ended up flipping the plane upside down and flying upside down and then hitting the ground. And if you had no reference to the horizon and all that sort of stuff, it could become very discombobulating of what's going on, right? But the long story short of that particular episode was these pilots, they were going by what they, like their float tank, no reference sort of sense of going on. They didn't trust the instruments, right? And pilot error is common with plane crashes and stuff like that. But this particular instance, what it offered was these pilots, if they actually referred to like the horizontal meter, the altimeter and all that sort of stuff, if they actually, being in a very tough situation of visibility, what they recognized in the outcome of this crash was if the pilots actually trusted the instrumentation, they would have survived, and it would have been quite straightforward. So from that mistake of appreciating of the consequence of that crash was it brought about a change in the pilot training and those sort of things of really emphasizing to pilots, like in low visibility sort of situations, to trust the instrumentation. Because you know, like say when you do healing and stuff, if you've had entities or misguided things going on for a long time, you know, like say for instance going to a chiropractor, which adjusts your spine and neck and back and all that. If you've not gone for a long time and you've had an issue in your lower back and stuff, our body's genius at adapting to issues is really genius. Like I find our body tech mesmerizing in its genius ability to adapt to situations and stuff, and low energy and energy hygiene and entities and attacks and all that sort of stuff, like the incorrect foods that we eat and guided to eat and all that sort of stuff. We're still, all the things done to us with like our body tech offered by Earth Mother is so amazing to me, right? But what I'm just saying is, say for instance in that trusting the mechanics and stuff, you might be in your body and you might have had an issue that you don't recognize, And say, for instance, if your spine is out and you need adjustment, it might be an issue up front, but then what the body does is adapt to it. You know, if you're not proactive on your health and stuff, and you're a reactive sort of type, and you don't really even go to chiropractor and stuff, and maybe many years later you go to one and you get an adjustment, and that adjustment puts you back in alignment, right? But what happens is, because you're so familiar with the issue, when you get a correction, it might feel very foreign, right? It might feel in your body very off, and you might find that, say particularly with chiropractic work, if you don't get body work and disarm the muscle memory sort of stuff, the body might retreat back to that corrupted state because it's familiar, and you in your mind might allow it, because having the courage to change, it might feel uncomfortable for a while as the body acclimatizes to a new, more correct state where the energy is flowing and stuff like that. So that's why you have to get experience and all that sort of stuff. But it's a bit of a metaphor with doing healing and trusting the instrumentation. Say, for instance, say me with doing the GSF stuff with epic people, that I've got my epic talents and skills, but other people have vast abilities in perception regions and stuff like that. And you know, I've got my mechanics of trusting authenticity and stuff, and I've worked with a lot of people and interact with a lot of people, many misguided, but the purity of people is also there. Like, one of the things I made a mistake of assuming a long time ago was that people with perceptions, they have earned them by being very integrity based and stuff, where actual fact people in the community are actually seated on a bigger level, the bigger incarnation war sort of level, to have the talents to be in the community, to be, you know, as I've talked about hens in fox houses, like there's been a very much driven agenda by the invaders, sort of misguided aligned, to have an edge over us, and the thing that comes out of it from me is that we're at this time where that's all going to have a cost, right? And this image that I've shown many times, we've never known this. We've never known what we know now. And the whole dimensional mechanics and the 22D and stuff, they aren't able to get there. In my opinion, a lot of them only operate at the 7D, you know, not even able to tell. Like, one of the issues I've had recently of putting it together is the reptilians, and I know they operate, say, from 10D, and, you know, if people are hijacked and Trojan horses of the reptilians and they're only operating 7D and stuff, and we're able to not only go to 20D, but way beyond it, way beyond them. The game has been to bog us down and not get through. And so energy hygiene, from my perspective, and I've offered a video release recently of energy hygiene. I'm going to do a better one and talk about it a lot. But this, I've called the spiritual no man's land, right? I might just show it quick. So this is the spiritual no man's land I offered in the last one. So just imagine that line going up to there. This whole region is very unhygienic, and infiltrators and Trojan horses and all this sort of stuff to prevent us getting to that, alright? But we've got this mechanics, it's our edge, you know, and the key that I said is, don't really try and think mechanically about 22D. Just remember those instances where you're at your peak and stuff, and you might have had dips there, but then you get smashed and targeted and all that. But it's more a feel, a state, and in your purity and in your core, you know it and stuff. And say, you know, like what I said, I do basically a lot of energy hygiene, and that's like ankle weights that are bogging us down, the unhygienic deliberateness of our reality. But once we get clear of it, we just float. And yeah, I'll just share another image relative to the last video that I've offered. This one I offered basically the mechanics of what's going on. So for those of us in the blue that have been hardcore anchoring this, doing our sovereignty and stuff, the green line is the volume of people doing it, so there's not been many, and the red line is the resistance per individual, alright? So us, you know, way showers, anchorers of the 22D potential, we've had the most resistance to us. But in my opinion, that's going to wane as you know, like I said, it's original concepts at the moment, but and honestly, that's why I've had a lot of discreditation and stuff, because I'm going to eventually, like an adjustment viewer in the future, work all this stuff out and offer it. And so that's a threat to the infiltrators and invaders that have been in the community that have not wanted this, because this is all a threat, like the 22D and stuff. But the reality is, like, violation is our asset, and misguided actions have consequence. And it's all brewing, and, you know, the level of craziness and all that in the world, and really, it's not covert totalitarianism, it's really in our face now, alright? And a lot of the linguistics, I've been doing a lot of reviewing and stuff, and a lot of the oneness sort of linguistics, and, you know, that, I don't mean to pick on drugs and all that sort of stuff. In the 90s I was a DJ, and I've seen a lot of it and been in there and stuff. But, you know, when people take drugs, they come out in a different state. It's like they're disconnected from the, you know, the reality in a way, but they have a sort of attitude and stuff. And to me, it's like, you know, a lot of the drugs are known and stuff like that, so it sort of sets people up to be more governed towards the actual, like, utopian sort of thing and stuff. And I don't mean to use that language, but just the, like, something better. But what is that better? And to me, what's coming up is that better is actually sort of a covert agenda to get a lot of people to submit and willfully want to join, like communism and the one world order sort of stuff, right? So a lot of that has had an agenda on the multi-D to get people to manifest it, right? And be wanting that, right? And then there's an effort to really destroy deliberately this world that we're in on very subtle, big plans. So if you go back to GSF 27, I've had a Swedish guy, and a lot of the plans for many decades, like going back to the 60s, that are unfolding now, and all the stuff that's gone on in our bodies the last 5 years, the internet of bodies, to get us all connected into a really monitored sort of conscious sort of apparatus that's so advanced and stuff. And I've offered a lot in my Universal Sovereignty Declaration, right? So it's all there, right? And to me, the whole 22D mechanics and stuff, it's the antidote to it. They're all trying to catch us in it. So if I go back to the first image, right? A lot of that tech and stuff is aiming to keep us below the fracture barrier, right? Because it's all, like Asher had a United Intruder Resistance and stuff video, where all the invaders and all that are working together with their own agreements, and their aiming is to capture us or use us as nourishment, and, you know, feed their negative universes and stuff. But it's like, I'm just offering the mechanics here of what is going on, right? And that's why I'm wanting to emphasize trust the mechanics, right? The key is, you got to do your work. You got to master your energy hygiene. You got to get your codes back and stuff if you still need them, and you've got to declare your sovereignty. Like, a lot of the things what's going on, I realized, is, you know, the immigration stuff. It's a lot of these countries, the corporation countries, you know, you don't actually own your body, all right? You're given a number, and it's property of the corporation sort of thing, and these corporations are all bankrupt. And so they're flooding the world because they're bankrupt. They need more collateral, which is us, our body tech sort of thing, right? And so, yeah, if they've spent us, they want more, and that's why they don't give a shit about us, right? And all that stuff doesn't work, all right, with this, because, yeah, the 22D Earth, my Earth pranic healings and stuff, you know, a lot of people are putting layers on Earth and stuff, thinking that they're superior, and they're actually working for the invaders and stuff. Whether they would consciously acknowledge it, or they've got vested interest and they don't want to believe they're doing negative shit. My attitude is, they know exactly what they're doing, and they're just playing dumb in their own narratives and stuff like that. But yeah, it's they've had an advantage, but it's all flipping at the moment. So for me in these last few weeks, I've had a lot go on, and it goes back to May and stuff with the big dream that I had where busting the invasion going on and auditing it all and busting all the mind control tech and stuff with certain allies. That goes back to the Crystal Skull video in May, and what it's done with me is put me on the radar sort of on another level. So I've had a lot of efforts to derail me at a whole nother level, but again it's like we're superior, their mechanics don't work anymore, and I'm going to share a lot of those sort of journeys with you of what's gone on in the recent weeks, because I had to go to ground a bit. But getting that intuitive potential part 4 out was a massive win for me, and it's been a real tough 12-13 months or so. But yeah, it was a huge victory of putting all this together, and you know, going back to 2020 when I started getting into healing and getting into my own content and stuff, to in 4 years putting this all together, you know. So those of you that have really been hardcore with me and trusted me and stuff, I really appreciate you, especially those of you that have come through for sessions and stuff, and I really thank you guys, because yeah, I have this interesting role where I'm accessible and public and stuff, and it's a bit of a symbiotic relationship between you guys out there that allows me to keep going and stuff. And I'll just go back to that other image quick. For a lot of you and the people I know, it's been so evil. The evil that's been done to us is just off the charts, and the key that I'm really impressed and proud with by you guys is a lot of people haven't played the victim. And I've released an emotional mastery video about society rewards the victim and how disarming and dangerous it is to play the victim and stuff. But those of you that have been hardcore and stuck with it and done the thoroughness action, I offered a Trinity of Choice video in my Multidimensional Method to 3D Madness series. In that, I talk about 3 choices, the Trinity. I just used Trinity. I wanted to use it linguistically in a topic because I like Trinity from the Matrix, but it's an interesting word. But Trinity is 3. Most people think there's a binary like good and bad, action, inaction, or good or bad, or yes, no and stuff. But in our efforts, what I introduce is inaction, right? Like there's doing good, there's doing bad, and doing nothing. You know, when you cross a road, if there's busy freeway and you know there's cars coming, inaction is valid. You don't just cross the road in front of cars. But say if like me as a particular teacher and I've offered all the content for free, like the sovereignty declaration and stuff, if you out there have chosen inaction when you've had that, you've left a gap. All right, I just bring that up because I've put it out there, I've given it away, and there's not a lot of people that have done it. All right, and those are the you that have core, that have invested in it and actually done it, with it sitting there to be, you know, as adults you can choose, like, I'm not here to be your father or, you know, take care of you and stuff. It's like you've got to be a self-actualizer and contribute, because you might have the variables that can unlock a lot for a lot of people by the violations going on with you. The way the mechanics have got is like an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, and violation is your asset. It's like you've actually got to bank that asset. And as I said about the corporations and sovereignty and stuff, you don't actually own your body tech, right? You're a guest in it, and it's owned by the state, sort of thing. Right? So you got to think about those things, and if things aren't going well for you, then perhaps you've got gaps that you can work on to resolve things, you know. But those that have been hardcore with it, it's been pretty brutal. But to me, it's like what I say, like what I'm going to offer here is like a lot of crap went on in my life, but it's not able to have the control it once had or the influence. It's like they're giving the kitchen sink at us, but it's not enough anymore. And to me, while it's crazy out there and stuff and a lot going on, and it's tough on a multi-D level, and I'll get into some of the multi-D things that we've had victories on, alright? my mechanics in this and trusting it, it's going to get better. Don't know how or anything, but I just feel like we've had our peak fracka Mount Everest of violations and stuff, and like for me it's been 14-15 years of hardship, and I know some really hardcore people that have been through that level of journey of anchoring it and having to sacrifice a lot. Like us that are real doing the guardianship of Earth, that we've really had to sacrifice a lot of human experience to be able to be here and stuff. And a lot of people that I've had the privilege of operating with, they're very lucky to still be here. A lot aren't. A lot haven't made it to now. So while it's been tough, while you might be like gone through a marathon energetically and exacerbated or exhausted and close to giving up and stuff, I feel there's brighter days ahead, right? And everything is on our side. We've got the 22D mechanics of Earth and stuff, and some of the other things I'm going to talk about in a sec. Timelines and the dream time in the astral realm and stuff. Everything is sort of on our side. So the key is to trust it. And that's a big word, alright? But for me, I am going to trust it. And when I trust it, it's the difference between, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be able to trust it? My attitude is, I am going to trust it. You think about the am I versus I am. Just feel that with your energy field of how closed off and superior I am is versus am I, alright? So just when you contemplate these things, just think, am I giving it an I am or an am I, alright? Because when you anchor it, it's like say the mechanics of the sovereignty declaration is, it's defining the rules in which the universe can interact with you, sort of thing, alright? So you've got to define it. So when you engage it, it's like, I am this, alright? This is how it's going to roll. Because we are reality authorities, and a lot of you probably, I've accepted my reality authority many years ago, and many of the people around me that I've interacted with at the GSF level have, but a lot of you guys might feel like, am I worthy of that and stuff? Just think, what's the vulnerability that you leave if you don't accept it now? And it's time to really engage yourself at another level. And getting through that fractal barrier and getting to 22D, just mastery of those inner states will be core, alright? So, well done. I just want to also do a big acknowledgement of whatever you've had to endure and been through that no one recognizes, that you know that you've done, alright? And trust me, Earth Mother knows, and a lot of our unseen support all know what you've had to endure and stuff. And me, like, I love it in sessions and talking to people of, like, I'm very, very privileged by interacting with a lot of these amazing people in very potent times in my sessions, right? To actually know how many amazing beings are out there, just out of focus, behind the scenes a bit, but really geniuses in navigating all this themselves. Like, it's like, how did you make that choice in that moment, sort of thing? Like, I would just offer, I'm very confident in this, because the privilege I have of operating with amazing people that are very focused on this, I probably see it more than what you do, but there's not been a huge number. But as I said, we're the anchors for the potential of us all, alright? So well done you for whatever you've had to endure to get here, but take it to another level now, alright? Take you to your infinite, okay? As I say, infinite potential. Where are you putting your ceilings on yourself of what you can do and stuff? I am infinite potential, alright? So I'm just going to move on. This is the contrarian view mechanics that I've shown many times, alright? And I'll do a bit of a metaphor of the world and us on the 22D sort of thing. So the contrarian view is an attitude to take I was employing when I was currency trading. I've offered many times of how I trusted the narrative sort of stuff early on and lost a lot of money. So my pursuit of truth came about by losing a lot of money, trusting the BS that's out there. So I had to go and hunt for the understanding of what's going on, and that was sort of the source of where my pursuit of truth, being a servant of truth, and appreciating truth versus the falsehood and the misguidance and stuff and that. But so what the majority of people, they trust what's out there, and then they're set up for failure. So when markets crash, you know, say housing markets, 2007, 2008, you know, everyone wanted to jump in, and then there was a crash, and then people were over leveraged financially, sort of thing, in debt and stuff, when their assets were worth less. But then, so when things are good, everyone wants to jump in, but when things are bad, people want to avoid it, right? So the way it's been the last few years is, Warren Buffett is a good contrarian trader. I've got a book about him and stuff. When I was back in my trading days, I would, and I always do this, I find the best at what they do and understand them and employ their mechanics, sort of thing. You know, doing the empathy sonar. But to say what's going on now is, from the market perspective, we've been through 5 years of hardship and stuff, and inflation's been used as a weapon and all that sort of stuff. So energy costs have gone up, and that influences everything and stuff like that. And yeah, this is a metaphor of the trading sort of markets and stuff. So we've gone through 5 years of hardship and stuff, and so there's a relationship between the trading sort of markets, but I would also offer this on the consciousness level, right? Say the last 5 years, like 2018, it was pretty good. Going to now, it's been horrible. And you could take it away relative to our development and the resistance that each of us have all faced in our lives and stuff. And the reason why I'm bringing up the contrarian view sort of thing is, we've been on a trend, like these green lines, the ups and downs of trends. So it might feel like, if you've been committed to say what I'm offering, and that the trend has been very harsh, right? And it might feel like the harshness and the bad is never going to end, right? And the herd sort of will believe that, but the trader's like, nah. The energy to make it go bad is finite, right? So what I'm offering is, out of that hardship, I know me, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So it makes me, you know, I don't get complacent ever, but when things are on and tough, it's a huge motivator. Like I've offered this about being in poverty, like that motivation to get your next meal is absolute. You know, if you're comfort and you're in financial, like in a better financial position, particularly like wealthy and stuff, you might not want to walk 5 kilometers to the supermarket sort of thing to get a cheap meal sort of thing. You might take it easy, or you might have a lot of stock and you don't need to do that. But on that, if you're in a hard situation, you might discover a lot on that journey. You might randomly come across a crystal or something like that, you know. So motivation is a key, and I've offered the passion video and stuff, but I would just offer, getting to the point here, is that those that are committed to say the stuff and truth in that, it's not been easy, because there's a lot of misguidance out there getting away with it and benefiting from their misguidance and stuff. But I would offer, like, while we're at the bottom, the peak, the misguidance is at that peak, and they're going to go through a crash, right? And so for us on the 22D, it's been the harshest. Like, we're at the bottom of like a crash sort of thing, right? But I am offering, like, from me as a trader, appreciating all this and getting all this mechanics and truth and the foundation in the Earth 22D and the timelines and the 22D, you know, the astral realms and the dream time and stuff. Everything on a mechanical level is on our side. And so for me, I'm feeling the relief of all this, and the trend is more than likely going to change. And so, say with me and my healing mechanics and stuff, I know I've got it all in place, right, to be a facilitator and all this sort of stuff. And there's a lot of people that have come through that I've helped build up to being potentially practitioners as well, to do all this infinite potential style healings as well. Because you imagine how many billions of people out there that are going to get over all this bullshit as the structures all fall apart. They've not done their work, right? And they're going to be lost and directionless and stuff. And that's where I'm really trying to inspire you to accept I am this badass infinite potential now. Because some of the things that went on these last few weeks, particularly what's going on around me, I've developed another level of compassion again. You might have felt like I was a bit prickly for a while. I was under the pump, trying to be taken out. But I've really integrated and really shifted myself, and in probably the best state I've ever been, on awareness level and in my healing and all that sort of stuff. And anchoring the sort of 22D in me, it's a metaphor of this. Like, there's not many of us at the moment, but to me, it's like we've got a huge trend in our favor now, right? So I'm just trying to inspire you to see things and contemplate things in many ways. Like, the mechanics and everything is on our side, right? And it's probably not going to be easy, and there's probably going to be a lot of efforts to derail us and stuff. And I'm going to talk about some of them. Maybe I won't fit them all in here now, it's getting a bit late, but yeah, I'm just trying to inspire you that maybe we're at the peak frackery, peak worst shit, and everything is sort of on our side. Like, I've had this conversation with a few people, like, some people have been through some horrible stuff lately, like just the most extreme worst and stuff, and it's been going on for a long time. But in that, it's like we individually feel so good in ourselves, like mastering nutrition, appreciating energy hygiene, doing all the healing and doing a lot of physical work, eating right and all that. In ourselves, we feel like the best we've ever felt. The things out there just seem horrible and ominous and stuff. And it's just the paradox of being at our best when everything is going to shit, sort of thing. And I would offer, like, maybe you're not quite out of it yet, but we've done all these big structural things and things might be feeling better. You just might not trust it because you're so traumatized. Like, you're institutionalized. Like, I use the metaphor in Shawshank Redemption. There's this old guy that gets freedom. It's a bit like that metaphor of what I said about healing your back from a chiropractor that's been out for a long time. This old guy in that epic movie, he got freedom and he actually committed suicide because he couldn't handle the freedom because he was so institutionalized in his shit, right? Being a prisoner in jail for 50 years, He needed that structure and reference. And going into new territory, the unknown, which I've been big about. I've got the unknown video and, my experience as a key to wisdom, sort of intuitive potential stuff. We might go into energetic, unfamiliar territory, but everything is sort of coming to us. You imagine like we're being compressed into this 3D 5 sense sort of thing, but a lot of our talents, they need the high dimensional frequencies to flourish, to blossom. And so we've done a lot of work to get all the codes back and stuff, but it's up to you as an individual to engage yourself to the next level. Like, we can do all the structural thing. It's up to you to engage your sovereignty and, commit to that. It's almost like a violation if we do anything to you if you aren't willing to do that. So I would advise, be thorough. Inaction has a price. As I said, the trinity of choice. Action time, right? Be thorough. Eliminate all variables. There's a lot going to be cramming before their exam. And if you do the homework up front, it'll be like a ease and grace sort of thing through it all. And you'll be able to trust yourself in the moment and you just realize, wow, I'm on top of my game. Like, all this shit's going on, but I'm still like, I'm not being smashed by it. I've got energy. My perception mechanics are going off the charts, all right? But I hope that mechanics of the contrarian potential for us, even though it feels like that, just trust your mechanics in you. Trust the mechanics of what we've offered. It might feel like that is what you've always been done, and it probably has, all right? I'm just offering it in a visual way so you got a reference. And I've talked about passive versus active mode. Like, if you're passive and it's just an instinct versus active of actually appreciating the diagrams, like the mechanics of the 22D and stuff, it might just feel like home, but it's very much active and empowered, and it's the edge that will get you through a lot of stuff and not get smashed like the herd will, potentially, because they haven't dealt with their shit, okay? It's not your monkey, not your circus, alright? I've been using that with people, this powerful linguistical technology called not my monkey, not my circus, alright? It's, as I said in the last video, it's spiritually selfishness time. You work purely on yourself and let people work on themselves, or not, but you're not responsible for them. Engage yourself as a practitioner and allow them to invest in you if you want to help other people and, you know, energy exchange and stuff like that. So I'm just going to move on. So I'm going to call this Recalibration to New Energy Reality Part 10, Solidifying Our Strategic Superiority now, alright? So I'm getting right into the video and towards the end, but I thought I'd make sure that that's what this is. It's recalibration to new energetic reality because of all the big victories that, say me personally, what I've done and worked out all these mechanics with a lot of myself and others and stuff, and just putting my own algorithm of all the variables together to be able to offer all I do. I would just offer, I offered this in the last video about the perception mechanics and taking variables to form your own pattern and stuff, and I'm not wanting you to be disempowered with me. I'm trying to empower you with data variables in your metadata and investing into your body tech, as I've done, you know, a couple of videos, I think part 9 and 10 in my multi-dimensional method to 3D madness about data and how the body mechanics works. Like what I do is I go out and absorb as much data as I can to form my own algorithm. That's why I mentioned Asha before, because she flipped a lot and I'm very grateful for her. But I'm relentless in pursuing more data and stuff, and I would just offer those of you being hardcore with me, you're probably getting your own 22D mastery, your own perception algorithm going, if it hasn't been already. But the key to me is like being able to gestate with a vast amount of data to form your own perception mechanics like this, right? But I've offered this in the past, and it's not about you following me. My aim is to get you in the trenches with me and be your own perception authority and reality authority, and accept that I am infinite potential sort of being that I can perceive. I might be getting original perception content myself and seeing what's going on and stuff with all the data that I've acquired over my lifetime, and it's in my lineage and in my body tech. I'm really trying to emphasize that you be your own perception authority all the time. Okay. So one of the big things I've done recently, shout out to this epic ally, I've done a lot with them, is we upgraded the timeline to a pure source, untouchable, protected timeline, right? So we also upgraded the dream time to 22D and the astral realms to 22D. They were real nasty freaking places where a lot of people are being violated and stuff, and I just say we've done it. We're going to have to see how it goes, because we're always finding variables of loopholes and stuff, but it feels like I said, the anchoring of the potential in 22D and stuff, like we've really got the superiority now, right? So my effort to share these stuff is to help you perceive it and to sense it and to engage and be a match to it, right? When all the invaders and stuff, they can't, okay? So the top line is like a metaphor of how it has been with the timelines. So say for me, for instance, I've just been trying to plot along, playing catch up and stuff, and a lot of these invaders have gone in and hacked me, hacked people to hijack people away. Say if I'm meant to have a lot more people interested in my content, or a lot of people seek me out for sessions, then they're being hacked into to derail them so they don't actually access their infinite potential, especially if they've had their codes and life force and kundalini all harvested and got fake oversouls and stuff like that. So it's about us and our potential, and it's been derailed, right? So with the timeline, it's never been authentic. It's been highly hijacked, and us individually and us as a collective, it's been a massive contributor to the derailment of everyone. So just imagine the astral realm and the dream time has been a metaphor of all this as well. But what we did, this is going back mid-June, I think, we upgraded the authentic timeline to 22D and be very protected, right? So 12D is not enough, right? So what this means is a lot of the violations that the invaders were relying on, they no longer can get benefit for that. Not only that, they're going to get the karmic bounce back. So there's a lot of this stuff going on, right? And the important thing about the 22D and all this sort of stuff is, this is what I've said in a lot of sessions with people and stuff, the micro of an individual session and the bigger scale of the planet and the universe and that. So if I do a pranic healing and energy hygiene, the multi-D might be done, right? But it takes a while for that to percolate through to the 3D and the physical. So say I've offered that we've done this, and it might be a bit of a transition to it actually percolates through and be the authority and stuff. But I would offer that, like I said, the trend change, there might be shoots of improvement and stuff, or you might feel a lot of energy back, or you wake up from sleep and you feel refreshed and stuff. Like my sleep is a lot better and all this sort of stuff. I'm not needing as much, like I never used to need a lot of sleep, and I love sleep, you know, but the metaphor is I'm getting re-nourished from sleep and all this sort of stuff, let alone the dreams and all that sort of stuff. And this goes back to a dream I had in May, because what I was wanting to get into is a bit of interference that's been going on with me and big time, just to derail and, you know, sabotage and all that sort of stuff. But all this stuff is played out because if you've gone back and watched Galactic Special Forces 33, and the dream that I had was just before May, or just in May, the week leading up to when I released Crystal Skulls Part 1, and I've got many more to release in that series. But that week I had instances of getting to 22D, like it's been brutal. We've never had the mechanics solid with Earth, soul and all that sort of stuff. And if you've really watched those GSF 32 and 33, where I realized like there was a big effort to eject Earth's soul from the planet, and us on the surface were mega gone after, like really distorted frequencies were broadcast to the planet to separate us from Earth, and all her submissive stuff was being broadcast, particularly to women and stuff. So it's been very rough. But that week leading up to that Crystal Skull video, for a reference, is like where I busted the dream time of the invader plans with the government and all that sort of stuff. And since then it's been game on for me in my life. And I've had a lot of, say, efforts for people to get onto my property and do work. Like last week, the week after the Earth 22D, I had a big tree chopped down, and that was a bit of an effort. Just had workmen on my land from 7 till 4 and stuff, and they were really messed up. So I live in sort of government housing, which is interesting. So there's a vulnerability with that, but it's also on another level. The way I see it, living in government housing, I'm actually allowing government to get positive karma for supporting me, right? And we all deserve that. And we are karma resolution beings, and nothing is black and white. There's grey. And in that I am infinite potential sort of thing, right? It's like we're all worthy of being supported, okay? And a lot of these structures, they're victims of the violations going on as well. And so yeah, like, but it was just, for me, if you really appreciate, I've been beaten up because a lot of the allies, they've been all smashed, and so a lot of responsibility fell on me on top of all this, you know. Maybe I was a single point of failure and a lot of effort to really destroy me once and for all, and it wasn't good enough, right? But so the key is, it's not like poor little me, it's like, where is my kryptonite? Where are the vulnerabilities I have? How can I do like a Michael Jordan, be a pure source MJ, like in The Last Dance, which I've suggested many times, because him in that is mystical training, where he identifies his weakness and he works very hard on them to eliminate them, to become, you know, invincible sort of thing. So one of the things is I've always been very guarded with what comes on the property, and particularly people, because most people are, unfortunately, they're more than likely Trojan horses, right? And I showed that video in the last one of the cocaine addict with Harry Oldfield and the Killian technology, and I might show that again in a little bit. But so what's a consistent variable going on with me is there's an effort to have a lot of work done on my property, and so we don't have the authority to push them back and stuff. So people have been coming on, and they're being weaponized like Trojan horses, right? So they can have chips, implants, and entities and all that sort of stuff. So it's been on. So one of the big things that went on, we not had much notice, and I'm a bit of a night owl, so if I have to get up early, it's like a real... One of the things I really watch out for is jet lag, because you can't really overcome it other than just disarming and relaxing and recovering and recouping and getting up to speed from it. So in my mastery and my invincibility sort of thing, I don't like hate this sort of stuff. Many times in the past I would get very weak, right? I'd get beaten up, and I'd deliberately go in public with knowing that it would be messed up people to test my vulnerabilities when I'm vulnerable, right? Because the challenges don't happen when things are good. They're more than likely going to be coordinated when you're bad. So you need to be able to see how you operate when you're beaten up and stuff. So I just take it on as, like I've been very defensive and just trying to hold the line with all this stuff. But it was like so much going on. And I was just like, all right, let's just see what happens. So some of the work that I had recently, I only had a couple of days notice that our house was going to get painted. So you imagine the tree gets cut down, like a giant tree that destabilized the whole land and stuff. And they're not even inside. Like I had people inside my property, and it was just like I was getting smashed. But it was just fascinating because it was like I knew I was getting smashed, but my core was really good. Like that's the thing that we found, that when we're really engaging our 22D, like our core is invincible. Like 22D, it's impregnable now. Like it's undeniable how good we are, and then we just reanimate ourselves. So the really cool thing for me was I knew that all this was going to be weaponized and stuff. But then I really just appreciated how advanced we are to accept all this stuff. Like there's not many of us that really get this. I might be talking to people and share it, but they don't actually perceive that this is how it is. Like they're so used to being lied, it's just like another bit of data. They don't tune into the truth of all this that I've been offering, and they don't embody it and stuff. So if you guys have, you're very rare at the moment, but you're the anchor. Like I said, the blue line in that other image, if I just show it again, there's not many of us, right? So it's like we're in uncharted original territory and stuff, but we're so advanced, right? So the cool thing with these workmen, it was like what I got is just a deep compassion for humanity. Of everyone is battling at the moment. We're being so messed with and violated, like the inflation wars, and say particularly in Australia what the government's done, and they're doing it all over the world, is they've flooded our country with immigrants and stuff, and everyone deserves a good life and stuff, but they're actually being weaponized to destroy the culture and stuff like that. And I'll get into it, the immigration and that in an influence video and stuff. There's a real interesting policy that can be employed that is all about destroying, overwhelming a society sort of thing, and that's being used in the Western world at the moment. And as I said earlier, like the countries are all bankrupt and they need more collateral, which is people, and they're using them as energy, money, collateral. That's what's going on. And so I just really, like we're just so advanced that we get all this stuff, particularly if you've gone through the Sovereignty Declaration. I've put a lot there, and I'm planning to release a version 3.32, and I'll share something in a sec, because I've got a new session structure, alright? But yeah, I just got I got the vastness of the gap that we have, right, on awareness, and how much people have to embody and appreciate if they're going to be able to navigate it. And a lot of people won't. They're going to really, really need us, okay? And so instead of being pissed off about all this stuff, I just got deep compassion for humanity with everyone battling at the moment. And it's this core structure of the invaders and stuff that are occupying the planet for so long and stuff. And so what I was just offering is, in May I busted the government of what their plans for us were and stuff, using us as DNA sort of, banks of breeding us and stuff, getting the codes and trading the codes and stuff. And there's been a lot of abductions go on, because we realized that, I think it was GSF 31, that was around the time I released it, we busted all the DNA banks and stuff, but they've lost all their resources on that front, so they've stepped up all the invasion, they've stepped up all the abductions again and stuff. So there's been a lot of violations on that front. So I just had to do some changes, like little subtle additions to the Sovereignty Declaration. I'll aim to get it out and stuff. And I'm going to do a shorter one. I'll just show you the reason why. And I'll be offering this image at my website and the access to me, but I'm going to offer a new session, alright? So the top two are the top one is the Conscious Tetris, the second one down is my full Infinite Potential session, and the bottom one is just the Pranic. So the red is the energy hygiene, which I do in Pranic, and there's a key and all that with all the variables. Like the orange one is the Soul Shard recovery, and the purple one is the Earth Connect and stuff. But what I'm going to do is offer a shorter Infinite, maybe I'll just call it Infinite Basic and Infinite Full, alright? But it's only going to be about 4.5, 5 hours, and you might seem like it's a lot, but when you're in it, it's not. But I'm just going to more focus it on the personal level, and I'm going to create a version 3.32 of my Sovereignty Declaration with mainly just the influences. Like, I'm going to take the bigger stuff out. I'm just going to get the edges of the puzzle, call in the spirit team and stuff as defenders and that, but I'll separate much of the bigger stuff in the world to make it more personal. So I'm going to offer a new session, which is going to be probably priced just below $300. So that's what I've worked out, because I know, like, when I created the new Sovereignty Declaration, it's pretty extensive and it takes a lot of time and stuff like that, and I love it, alright? To me, I would love that document 10 years ago to help get me up to speed. So creating it was a huge achievement for myself, and it's, you know, people might say 30 pages, but it's like, we've got to be prepared to do whatever it takes at the moment. And creating something like that, which is totally unexpected, to me is the actual antidote of this reality. Like, doing what hasn't been done before is exactly what's needed, right? So it's there, and it's a big resource, and to me, there's nothing ever been like it that will get people up to speed in 30 pages, alright? So that's what it's there for, but it's also about your sovereignty at a mega level, alright? But incorporating that into my sessions has made them very extensive, right? So I'm going to introduce a shorter Infinite session that I feel will be a great fit for a lot of people, you know? Like, a lot of people don't have the extended time to be able to dedicate to session and the recovery and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to be introducing something a bit in between, alright, that will fit, and it'll be a bit cheaper as well. So I think it will be a really enormous ally for people, and, you know, fit very well with the reality and stuff. And I'll show you another image, okay? This is one I showed in my Intuitive Potential Part 4, where I've been trying to help people get through the spiritual no man's land. So what I've done is all this appreciation and compassion for humanity and all that, and trying to do my best and offer the best for people. So if I offer that variable of a session that's a bit cheaper and just more focused on the personal, to me it will be an ally to get through the spiritual no man's land as well and stuff. And it might be a great fit for you guys, and a bit easier to deal with and manageable with your time if you're really busy and all that sort of stuff. Getting a bit dark, and to tell you the story of the epic synchronicity, I might not fit it in now. I've got a bit of time and I might do it tomorrow to add it to the end, or this might be a really good release that's really focused on the basics of integrating and mastering our advantage. But what I want to do is just offer this. I've offered it in many of my Recalibration to New Energetic Reality releases, and what I've suggested is, you know, you might be a bit lost energetically and all that sort of stuff and feeling a lot. I would offer the vast majority of what you're feeling is actually not you. You've taken on the energy of other people, alright? So you don't actually organically know which is you, and able to splice up which isn't. So one of the things I've recommended is actually pulling your energy field back within your body, alright? like a millimeter or an inch away from your body. So you're not actually like a drift net catching all the shit from other people, right? Not your monkey, not your circus, alright? You're not responsible for anyone else other than yourself, your own thoughts, feelings and emotions and energy hygiene, alright? So what you can do is pull it all back and you can shed a lot. You might be find that territory where you don't know which, like you haven't known thyself, alright? You haven't become a healer yourself and all this sort of stuff, or you haven't sought out healing and you're reacting to a lot. I offered Infinite Potential Healing 6 with energy hygiene and some tools in there what you can employ and just to recognize things, but I would offer like it's going to be a lot easier to be able to navigate going forward if you're really engaging your sovereignty and appreciating all this mechanics, which I'm offering. It's time to trust the mechanics, alright, and work with them as I am infinite potential, align with 22D sort of thing. So yeah, just see that the vast majority of stuff that's going on with you probably isn't yours, but the key is to pull it all back and shed it and know thyself and stuff, alright? So it's getting a bit dark, and I don't want to get into the big story of this epic synchronicity, because to me it's all about the validation of what I've done and what I've achieved and what I bring, because I wouldn't have run into this very high level being, alright, unless it was a confirmation of all this that I say. So that's where I've, like in me, I've had to really trust this, alright, and believe in myself, because epic synchronicities and the efforts to undermine me and stuff are going to be for all of us in this transition time as it percolates through, as the 20D all percolates through. A lot of structures in society aren't going to be sustainable anymore, particularly like, you know, if they're based on violation and that violation is being cut off. And say if you do your sovereignty declaration, I'll just show you another image quick. This is one I showed in the last image. So the red is the invader and the violations, and the green is like us, our potential of impacting things. So say if, you know, structures in society are based on the violation that, say I do one session with people, or you as an individual do your sovereignty declaration, and all the violations tracking back, like clear up a lot for a lot of people, alright? Then potentially a lot of structures in society are no longer valid. They don't have the life force and nourishment to be able to maintain themselves. So there's going to be a potential lot of changes and falling apart of things that no longer are sustainable because they are based on violation. So we're going to have to be prepared for a lot of change and stuff. But that's the key. It's like, to me, if you master yourself, you'll be the eye of your hurricane around you. Like I said early on, as crazy as things are and all the extremes that are going on in lives, and, you know, the volume's being turned up and all the craziness, in a parallel to that, you might be feeling the best you've ever felt. In the past you might have felt really derailed and unable to master yourself in it, but you might be powering through like the green, through all the red crap, right? So I'll just invite, like, there's a big trend change going on. There's a big foundation sort of structure in place, and we're riding on the tip of it, okay? And it's uncharted territory. And the key is, as I said in the last video, it's spiritual selfishness. Like, invest all your energy in your own mastery, your own energy hygiene, your own healing, and your own attitude now. I've offered a lot of clips over the years and stuff of attitudinal mastery, alright? Like I said, am I or I am? It's time for the I am, an epic infinite potential fragment of all this potential that is superior to anything else out there. I'm only accessing a tip of my potential, and I'm going to continue that pursuit, alright? So yeah, it's a bit late. I'm not going to get to the story. I might add it onto this, or I might create a whole separate release, but this might be very foundational and reminding of you to empower yourself and really be the reality authority that you are. I'll just go back to that other image, right? Just feel yourself in all of this, how epic you are, how at the forefront of everything you are right now, how peerless you are. You know, there's not many of us that are doing this. we are so advanced. It's not an ego thing, it's a self-acceptance thing. And if we self-accept, what's the foundation that can launch from? Who might be seeking us out individually for what we might know? We might be the catalyst. You know, these workmen and this epic being that I said, I know in my field I activate people, so it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? If the Trojan horses are coming, it's like, you violated me, it's like, you work for me now. You work for Earth, alright? So yeah, just really, I'm inviting you to solidify your epic superiority now on an energetic and dimensional level. It might be rough, it might be epic, it might be, you know, some of the shit you witness out there might be really horrible and stuff, but just really anchor that core view of how epic you are in all this, and just really observe it like you're powering through now, alright? We've got this. It's going to be, like I said, I'm going to trust that good things are brewing for us, myself and humanity, as things unfold, alright? So I hope this is a very empowering video for you. I haven't included all the things I wanted to, but it's a bit of an overview and a reminder and an empowerment sort of attitude sort of video. So I really hope this is an ally to you going forward, and yeah, we'll see where we go, guys, alright? So all the best. Keep being epic, keep being a brat, do no harm but take no shit, like push back. You've got a lot of karma bank to call in, keep doing the sovereignty declaration, and if I see you guys and you're up for sessions, you'd be very welcome, alright? But I really hope this is empowering for you. I hope you get a lot from it, and until next time, Don Brado, the brat from down under, relentless invader cockroach, on his game and looking to take it to the whole next level, guys. So until next time, Andre out, all the best, and keep being lit. Bye for now.
The sun is gonna keep on shining right away on the horizon. My love for you will always keep on rising. Everything's gonna be alright tonight. Oh yeah, my love for you is gonna keep on rising. The sun's gonna keep on shining right next to me horizon. My love for you will keep on rising. Everything's gonna be alright. The sun's gonna keep on
swimming in December, heading for the city lights. 975, we're sharing each other, nearer than farther. The scent of the lemon drips from your eyes. We are the people that rule the world, what's running in every boy and girl, all rejoicing in the world. Take me now. We can drive a little adventure, love in the summer, follow the sun tonight, reminiscing of the times of life. For each every other, the feeling is stronger. Shock at 11, got lost in your eyes. Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can you remember in human eyes? It was so where we'd energize, lie in the sand and visualize like it's 75 again. We are the people that rule the world, what's running in every boy and girl, all rejoicing in the world. Take me now. We can drive. Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Know everything about you, know everything about me, know everything about us. I know everything about you, know everything about me, know everything about us. Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now?
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And That's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.